Hi guys, well, this is my first ever actual video, to be honest, so I apologize for the fact that it's probably gonna be really awkward, but I still wanted to do this because I had been thinking about it for a while, and now that we hit 10k subscribers, which is actually insane to me by the way, I think it's a good time to do it now more than ever. So yeah, let's get into it. Well, actually, first of all, I did want to thank all of you so much for this, because when I first started this project, I just saw it as a small thing that would never really be seen by barely anyone, if anything. But now it's something that all of you have helped be more seen, and I really appreciate that the thing I do for fun and to express myself is something you guys can actually enjoy and maybe even relate to. So, thank you so much, because without all of you, things like this wouldn't be possible at all, really. And real quick, if you're new here, I would really appreciate it if you could check out the channel and the music, maybe the other websites as well. If you're interested, I would really appreciate that. Links in the description and pinned comment below. So, first off, I wanted to get into a few general questions across the board that you guys asked. So I can actually get into the more specific ones afterwards. So first off, am I working on an album? Yeah, I can say that I am actually. And I cannot really share a lot with you guys about it right now, because most of what exists of it right now is merely concepts that could change by the release date. But I can say that this will be the biggest album yet. Maybe not in length, we'll see about how long it is. But I can definitely say that the lyrical and musical content of it will be way better and larger than anything else I have done. There might be a bit more stuff about the album later on in the video, so if you're interested, please do stick around. That being said though, it will either release near the end of 2026 or during early 2027. I'm almost certain though that there won't be two albums this year like in past years where I always did, two of them. But still, hopefully it is worth it. Okay, so the other one out of these questions that I plan to answer is if I will ever do a face reveal or name reveal. And I can say that no, I don't plan on doing that for many reasons. Or at least I guess not soon, but maybe at some point, we'll see. But definitely not something I want to do right now. So let's get into specific questions. So first off, let's start with a question from Definitely Chris 99 on Instagram. What genres do you love outside of the SBM, and what artists in those genres? So, I mean, this question is kind of interesting to me because the SBM is really nowhere near the genre I listen to the most or love the most. And don't get me wrong, I do enjoy it, but I do find myself listening to basically anything else most of the time, and that's why I tend to use a lot of new sounds in what I make, because I guess, it's a lot of other genres. So I guess the most expected thing would be death metal, right? And I do like bands like Aborted, for example. They're just really fun to listen to because of how technically proficient you could say they are. And I do think they have a lot of fun with their lyrics as well, and just the videos and stuff. And some people might fight me on this, but also Gojira, especially early albums, are death metal-ish, and I really do love all of their discography as well. But my favorite albums by them are definitely From Mars to Sirius and The Way of All Flesh. I mean, makes sense. And I think those two albums are the most interesting way they've handled their lyrical themes, their usual lyrical themes. Especially From Mars to Sirius, because it's a concept album, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, the other artist I do want to mention is Mitski. And I really don't know what genre she is, but it's probably indie, I think, maybe something like that. But there's just something I really love about her music. I think her lyrics are really interesting in the way they're written. I really love the instrumentals, how every album is kind of its own thing, very different from one another. And overall, she's just a great vocalist in every way. My favorite album by her is Bury Me at Makeout Creek. Yeah, I could go on and on about all of these artists, but I'd say my all-time favorites are definitely her, Mitski and Gojira, mainly. So next up, we have a question by ekaelo.ekaelo on Instagram. I'm sorry, I never really knew how to say your username, but that's my bad. That's the guy, by the way, that made this mask. You might recognize it from the Instagram profile picture. But yeah, so answering your question, which is favorite book series, well, I guess it's not a series by definition, but my favorite book has to be All Tomorrows. I think most of you would know it. or at least probably have seen it, or some illustrations of the book. I'd hope at least. It's one I read like 7 years ago or longer before, but I recently remembered, and rereading it and analyzing more, I think it's like even better than what I remember. Of course, what I'm really surprised by mainly is just like the fact that someone actually came up with these designs and creatures. So in that sense, it's already extremely creative. Another thing that I find really creative is the story, that is like both really hopeful but also reminds us of our fragility as a species, which, I mean, in the way it's explored, I find to be really creative. Overall, amazing read in my opinion, even if it's on the shorter side and a lot of it are illustrations. It of course also gave way to other interesting books like All Yesterdays, but even though it's a completely different concept, it still like retains the speculative fashion of All Tomorrow, so it's still up. I think it's still something that spawned from that. I guess the next one is a more technical question, here from Sam Esquivel 7887 on Instagram, that says, what gear do you use, guitar amps, effects, etc. As for the guitars I use, I mostly use a Schecter PT-EX for my guitar parts. It's a guitar you'll hear in most of my music, to be honest. It's a baritone, so the standard tuning is B standard. It has locking tuners, a 5-way pickup switch, and yeah. I'd say currently it's my favorite guitar to play. It looks really good, it feels really good. And yeah, my interface is a Focusrite Scarlett Solo. I'll put the picture on screen, but I honestly forgot the generation. And that goes straight to my laptop, and it goes straight into my amp sim, which is Neural DSP's Archetype Gojira. Of course, I had to use that. This is an amp that I find to be really versatile, going from cleans to really heavy distortions. It is my favorite amp, of course, by the way. And all of this like sort of has a really defined character, which makes sense because like it's Gojira's amp, you know. But it's something that I really like about their amp specifically. I also tend to apply other effects to the recordings like saturation, reverb, compression, and EQ. With these effects, I really like using FabFilter's respective plugins for each of these. I find them to be the highest quality you can actually really get, at least that I've heard. Something else I like to do with my guitars is a lot of layers, you know, especially with the leads and with my rhythm tracks. I've always like double tracked them, though I've been playing around with quad tracking a lot recently, which I'll show a little bit later on in the video probably. So as a sort of follow-up to that question, we have one from 3rd on Instagram. I'm sorry, I'm probably butchering all your names, by the way, but yeah, I'm sorry. Will you ever make a video showing how you create songs or music in general? First of all, let me know down in the comments if that's something you'd wanna see, because I'd be really glad to do it, as long as it's something you guys would wanna, you know, watch. So yeah, taking into consideration that it'll probably be a really complicated video if it does happen eventually, I'll just kinda summarize it for you guys right now. So I guess what I like to do first is record the rhythm guitar when I get an idea, and from there I'll work on the other sections, like, you know, the lead guitars and the other double tracking stuff, and from there I'll do the bass and drums, and afterwards, taking the song in mind, I will write the lyrics and record them. I guess all of this progress takes me like a full day of work, or two if I have other things to do, and usually a few days of mixing and mastering. It's honestly a really quick process, and I guess that's something that maybe could help you guys, and if you want to see it, feel free to let me know down in the comments and I would absolutely make a full video on that. So yeah. Now this next question is from username ladiesman217 on Instagram. So hi Maddie. So she asks, has there ever been anything you wanted to do in your music that you didn't have the capacity to do just yet? Or have you saved some concepts or ideas for when you grow as an artist? I would really like to expand a lot on this question, and even if I cannot do that right now because of what I mentioned about the album in the intro, I still kinda would really want to answer this. But I will say that this album is that concept, you know, the one that I didn't have the skill to do before. I think I'm ready to do it now though, so this will be a story/concept album, exploring themes of the loss of humanity we can face with time, and how as a species we're going in a loop of building only to destroy everything. I guess unlike my other releases, it's not depressive in a personal sense, but I'd say it's still pretty depressive. And I've honestly just wanted to explore this concept in a story album for like forever, and I'm glad I'll finally get to do so in my next full length. It is definitely challenging me a lot, but so far I think it'll be nice, and I hope it's a concept you guys will like as much as I do. Now, for a more personal question, we have one from Instagram user Bloodthirst666. And they ask, what's your favorite part of being a musician? I guess it's a simpler question and it'll be shorter, of course, but for me, I guess it has a lot of answers personally. Mostly because I do enjoy like the creative process, like recording, coming up with songs, but mixing and mastering is also my favorite. But then I also really love posting and seeing what you guys can say and connect with. So I guess I could say I love every part of being a musician equally, just in different ways, if that makes sense. Hopefully it did. So this next one is from Asael Ramos Neri from Instagram, asking, will you ever post Harbinger or Tombstone? So I'm assuming a lot of people here wouldn't be aware of these songs, but yeah. What he's referring to are these two demos from my old video, Scrap Demos 2024. And you know, I guess I can explain why I chose a question with really obscure song mentions. So for one, I can say Tombstone is confirmed to not be used again, or at least I don't plan to at all. But for Harbinger it's a bit more complicated because I'm not sure whether I will or won't yet. But yeah, it's this song by the way. Anyways, the new album has like that kind of heavier sound that Harbinger used. Like, you know, I can show you a little bit of a demo I guess, which is this. So while I cannot confirm yet that Harbinger will be used or anything, what I can confirm is that it'll be a very similar style at least. So meaning that if you like that song, you'll probably like the album, to be honest. And again, I know it's a really obscure song mention, because this video has like less than 1,000 views, but you should definitely check it out if you want to get a good idea of the new album. So yeah, now we're on the final couple of questions. This one is actually from YouTube, from Hydroponic Guard. I think I know them from Insta too, but I might also be wrong on that. Hydroponic Garden, maybe? Anyways, they ask, what's the reasoning behind starting Woodland Masquerade? Is it a way of letting your emotions flow out in an artistic form, or is it just trying to bond metaphorically with others who share your feelings? What exactly is the reason behind the genres you chose to stick with? Congrats on 10k subs, take it easy. Well, first of all, thank you so much, I really appreciate that. I think this question is really interesting because it's a little bit of both, to be honest. Of course, this project is a way to express feelings or thoughts I have, but early on when I started doing these sorts of songs, I realized that people connected with them, and in a sense it feels like I started connecting with my community through that. So making songs that express how I feel while people can still connect and relate to them, is like a really important part of my music to me. And it really does mean a lot to me that these lyrics can help a lot of you feel understood or listened. And I guess going a bit off topic, I guess I do struggle a bit, or maybe a lot more than a bit, to talk to people. I mean, you'll probably see with the amount of cuts in this video, but generally, especially in real life, if you're someone I know in real life, like watching this, you'll probably like be able to confirm that I suck at talking and all of that, socializing stuff. So I guess it's really something that means a lot to me because I've gotten to know a lot of people that I can kind of connect with because of similar experiences, and some of which I can actually call my friends now. So I guess while I do experiment with genres as much as I can, the fundamentals will stay the same for as long as I can keep it interesting because of these reasons. This is the last question, and I'll use this to connect into the outro. Games on my phone 7 on Instagram asks, Did you ever think you'd get this much traction? And honestly, I didn't at all. This project started off as a fun thing for myself, as I've probably been repeating myself with most of this video, and it's of course still that for me, but I never really expected to be thinking about doing things like this video, for example, or just the fact that so many people would resonate with what I make. And I guess that's where I leave this video at. Thank you all so much, whether you've been here for just this video, the past few songs, or the 2 years this project has been up. It truly does mean a lot to me, and you know, that's why I want to thank you all so much for more than 10,000 at this point. It's 12,000, which again I'm extremely grateful for, and thank you for watching this video. So if I didn't answer your question, or there's one you wanted to ask but didn't, feel free to ask in the comment section down below and I'll reply. Once again, I would really appreciate if you're new here, if you could check out all my songs, or at least some, because there's a lot, and also maybe the websites I have down below as well, the people I've collabed with, and again, thank you all so much. I really appreciate this. See ya.